Social media is a place where people express themselves, share their lives, and build communities. And for 17-year-old Marianne N. from Mexico City, TikTok was exactly that. A platform where she connected with over 400,000 followers, racking up millions of views and likes. Her content? Super relatable. The kind of stuff people love to engage with. But behind the screen, behind the perfectly curated videos, something much darker was happening. And no one had any idea. Alright, let's rewind for a second. Marianne was just 17 when she had her first child with a guy she absolutely adored. But things didn't exactly work out between them. They split up and he quickly moved on, finding himself in a whole new relationship with someone else. And that someone else? None other than Valentina Gilabert, the granddaughter of the late Mexican actress Ileana de la Garza. Yeah, things were about to get messy. Here's where things get interesting. At one point, Marianne and Valentina were actually following each other on social media. And it wasn't just a passive follow either. Marianne was pretty active on Valentina's Instagram, dropping comments on her posts all the time. Fire emojis, clapping hands, heart eyes, you name it. But what seemed like a harmless interaction, it wouldn't stay that way for long. And here's where things start to take a turn. According to Marianne's baby daddy, their relationship didn't fall apart for no reason. He says it was because of her extreme jealousy. In his version of events, he left because Marianne was controlling and even violent at times. She had strict rules. He wasn't allowed to talk to any female coworkers or even his own female family members. And while he wanted to stick around for the sake of their baby, he eventually decided he just couldn't deal with that kind of behavior anymore. So at this point, Marianne and Valentina aren't exactly friends, but they do know each other. They're both content creators, sharing bits of their daily lives online for the world to see. More like acquaintances than anything else. But here's the twist. Marianne probably never imagined that one day, the father of her child, the guy who left her because of her so-called insane jealousy, would end up in a relationship with someone she already followed on social media. Yeah, that had to sting. And it wasn't long before things started to escalate. On the surface, Marianne kept up appearances. She kept posting like nothing was wrong, traveling, shopping, living her best life, and showing the world that she was being the best mom she could be. From the outside looking in, it seemed like she had it all together.
Bueno. Es penoso, no sale. Ay, güey, ya se me está haciendo algo tarde para esto y todavía tengo que arreglar a Emma. Ay, güey. Ahí está. Así que nos estamos arreglando rapidísimo y luego ya vamos a arreglar a Emma. Porque les digo que como veníamos de la playa, nos tuvimos que llegar a bañar porque neta estábamos sucios. Igual hoy que la llevamos a la playa, yo sé que no va a faltar persona que me fune, pero metí tantitos sus pisitos al mar, o sea que esto, y le encantó, y tocar la arena, todo eso. Emma ya se está girando, está gritando, está emocionada. Igual ahorita ando feliz porque ya tengo videos planeados de que para subirles el que les...
But as you may realize from this clip, it was all just for show. Deep down, Marianne was furious. The thought of her child's father moving on, that was bad enough. But moving on with someone she once supported on social media, that was a whole different level of betrayal in her eyes. And that anger, it was only getting worse. Behind the scenes, Marianne was spiraling. She couldn't stop obsessing over Valentina and the fact that she was now with her daughter's father. In her eyes, the possibility of reconciliation was off the table, and eventually that obsession pushed her to a breaking point. She decided she was going to take matters into her own hands. If she couldn't get back together with him, she was determined to make sure Valentina couldn't have him either. What happened next? No one saw it coming. And when the truth came out, it sent shockwaves through Mexico City and beyond. Without Valentina having a clue what was coming, Marianne made her move. On February 5th, 2025, She traveled to Mexico City with one goal in mind: to confront her. Valentina was at her apartment just hanging out with friends when Marianne showed up, and things escalated fast. What started as a confrontation turned into a brutal attack. Marianne allegedly pulled out a knife and began stabbing Valentina over and over as she screamed for help, shouting, "You're going to kill me." By the time it was over, Valentina had been stabbed 15 times across her body, and as she lay there bleeding out, Marianne made sure to deliver one final chilling message: "This is what you get." But perhaps the most disturbing part: according to witnesses who were in the apartment, Marianne wasn't done. She pulled out her phone and started recording Valentina's body. Valentina was left fighting for her life after that vicious attack. The damage was severe. She had to undergo multiple major surgeries, and doctors were especially worried about her esophagus and lungs, which took the brunt of the stabbings. Her condition was so critical that she was placed in a medically induced coma just to keep her alive. But then on Wednesday, February 12th, came a glimmer of hope. Valentina's mother shared the news that her daughter had finally woken up from the coma. While she was starting to regain consciousness, the trauma wasn't just physical. Valentina was still grappling with severe anxiety, haunted by the horrific ordeal she had survived. As for Marianne, her actions didn't go unpunished. She was quickly detained and charged with aggravated assault. However, because she's still a minor, the law limits the maximum sentence she can face for such a crime to just 5 years. That's where things get complicated. Many people believe that Marianne lived her life like an adult, traveling, making her own choices, and sharing every moment online as if she were already grown. And because of that, some argue that if she wants to be treated like an adult, she should face adult consequences for her actions against Valentina. The debate over justice and accountability continues to unfold, and this case is far from over. And as more details about Marianne continue to surface, it's clear this wasn't her first encounter with violence. People are starting to speak out, revealing that Marianne had a history of cyberbullying and harassing other content creators online. Some even claim that she publicly threatened others, sending hate-filled messages and leaving malicious comments. In fact, one content creator went as far as to say that the hateful comments she had been receiving stopped immediately after Marianne's arrest. That creator believes Marianne was directly responsible for those negative comments, adding a whole new layer of suspicion to her behavior. It seems that the more we learn about Marianne, the more complicated and disturbing the picture becomes. The question on everyone's mind is, why? Why would a young woman with a huge social media following, someone with so much of her life still ahead of her, choose to lash out so violently over a man? It's a question that's been asked over and over, but there's still no clear answer. While the majority of people are outraged by what Marianne did, there are some who sympathize with her. A few believe she might have been suffering from postpartum depression, which could have contributed to her violent behavior. One thing's for sure, though. This case has left a lot of people questioning how far obsession and jealousy can push someone, especially when mental health might be a factor. In the meantime, all we can do is pray for Valentina in the hopes that she will continue to heal both physically and emotionally from the trauma she's endured and eventually get back to doing what she loves.